Do you think you're ruthless enough to survive? Here, the smallest mistake costs a life. From shoe shiner to empire boss, let's see how long you can last in the meat-grinding machine called the Russian Mafia. Shadow POV. The truth behind the bloody tattoos. In Russia, there's a second government outside the Kremlin. It's a world where laws are written in blood, and advancement is measured by the number of lives you've taken. Welcome to Bratva, Russian Mafia brothers. In 15 minutes, you'll no longer be a spectator. You'll be an unknown nobody rising from the mud to the throne of the most brutal criminal empire on the planet. Are you ready to sign your own death warrant? Because in this world, the only way out is an oak coffin. First rank, Shestyorka. In Russian, it means number 6. But in the Underworld, you're just an errand dog. You have no name, no authority, and certainly no respect. What's your job? Polishing the shoes of tattooed men, delivering blood-stained envelopes, and taking brutal beatings on behalf of your boss when the police arrive. You're the bottom shoe of the organization. But don't underestimate this position. It's a test of patience. If you utter a single word to the authorities, your corpse will be found at the bottom of the frozen Volga River before sunrise. But you don't want to stop there, do you? You want respect. You want power. After 2 years of slavery, you're given a rusty Makarov pistol. Congratulations, you've become a boyetz, a warrior. At this level, you're the gang's muscle. You no longer polish shoes, you use your shoes to stomp on the faces of those who owe protection money. This is when you commit your first murder. How does it feel to pull the trigger? As cold as a Siberian winter? Your reward isn't a thick wad of rubles, but your first tattoo, a star tattoo on your knee, signifying that you will never kneel before anyone, not even the authorities. But the more blood is shed, the greater your ambition. You quickly rise to the rank of brigadier captain. Now, you're no longer a lone debt collector. You manage a group of 10 to 15 boyets. You run the black markets, mediate clashes between smaller gangs, and ensure that the tax money flows into the pockets of the big bosses on time. At the brigadier rank, you begin to taste the riches. Sleek black Mercedes, expensive suits, and leggy girls. But beware, you are the perfect scapegoat. If a deal falls through, you're the first to be used as a shield to protect those above you. There's an unwritten rule every brigadier must know by heart. Sukeya. It's the most horrific punishment for those who embezzle the organization's funds. You'll be thrown into a dark cellar without food or water and completely isolated until you go insane or take your own life. You see, in the Russian Mafia, the higher you climb, the tighter the noose around your neck gets. But you are ambitious. You don't want to be just a captain standing on the streets. You want to step into air-conditioned rooms where decisions that change the fate of a city are made. You are aiming for the position of Smatriashki, the overseer. This is where the real game begins. You won't use your fists anymore. You will use your brain and ruthlessness to control an entire territory. Welcome to the middle class of hell. You're no longer the guy with the gun running the streets demanding a few rubles. Now, you're Smatriashki, the supervisor. In the Russian Mafia system, you are the eyes and ears of the organization. What is your job? To oversee all illegal business activities in a specific area, from drug warehouses and cross-border human trafficking rings to underground casinos disguised as aristocratic clubs. At this level, you can't afford to make mistakes. If a shipment is seized by the police, Smatriashki is the first to have to explain. And believe me, explaining in the Russian Mafia isn't writing a report, but an interrogation with pliers and high-voltage electricity in an abandoned warehouse. But you persevered. You proved your loyalty and your cool head. You were promoted to Avtoritet, the prestige. This was a major turning point. You no longer directly handled bloodshed. You became a strategic expert, a CEO of the shadows. You sat in Moscow's most luxurious restaurants, sipped expensive cognac, and ran multi-million-dollar operations. The Avtoritet mediated disputes between rival gangs. A word from you could prevent a bloodbath or ignite a street war that lasted for months. You began cultivating relationships with corrupt government officials and degenerate police chiefs. You learned how to use money to bend justice. However, the higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes and the more enemies you encounter. You approach the Sovetnik level. Advisor. In Bratva circles, the Sovetnik is the right-hand man, the brains behind the throne of the crime bosses. You hold all the darkest secrets. Lists of politicians held by the organization, diagrams of international money laundering networks, and even unnamed cemeteries where traitors are buried. At this level, your power is almost absolute, but your safety is zero. Why? Because you know too much. In the Russian Mafia, there's an unwritten rule for its advisors. Mistakes aren't punished with flogging, they're settled with a farewell party. You'll be invited to an intimate dinner with your closest brothers. Wine flows, laughter rings out. But the main course of the evening isn't caviar, but a bullet to the back of the head, or a colorless, odorless dose of poison in your vodka glass. You'll die with a smile still on your face, and your body will vanish as if you never existed. That's the price to pay for keeping the organization's secrets buried forever. Are you tired yet? Do you want to stop? It's too late. Once you've joined the ranks of Avdoritet and Sovetnik, there's no turning back. You only have two choices. Either become a living legend, a Vori Vizakon, or become a name on a black granite tombstone in a cemetery reserved for the Mafia. And now, prepare yourself, because we are about to enter the most terrifying, sacred, and brutal ritual in the history of world crime. This ritual will transform you from an ordinary human being into a master thief, one who stands above all human laws. Welcome to the 7th level, Vori Vizakon. In Russian, it means the law-governing thief. This isn't just a title, it's a dark religion. To reach this position, you must undergo a baptism of blood and absolute sacrifice. You stand before a council of the oldest and most experienced bosses, candlelight illuminating the intricate tattoos on their skin. You swear to sever all ties with your family. No wife, no children, no parents. Your only family from now on is Bratva. You swear never to work for the government, never to serve in the army, and never to betray your brothers, even if it means being tortured to death in the most brutal dungeons of Siberia. When the ceremony concludes, new tattoos will be etched onto your body. An 8-pointed star on your collarbone, a symbol that signifies you are a true Vori, one who will not yield to any authority. From this moment on, your word is law. You don't need to kill people directly. A mere nod from you can wipe an entire family off the map overnight. You are the judge, the jury, and the executioner in the Underworld. But the ultimate pinnacle, the position every criminal craves but only one can hold, is Pakhan. This is the Godfather, the chairman of the Empire. At Pakhan's level, you're no longer an ordinary criminal. You're a phantom controlling the entire economy. You own banks, oil corporations, and top-level politicians. You run elections, manipulate market prices, and decide the fate of an entire nation. You live in luxurious mansions guarded by your own army, travel by private jet, and hold the power of life and death in your hands. But look in the mirror. What do you see? A king or a condemned man awaiting execution? The harsh truth is, the traditional Russian Mafia is slowly dying out. The old-school Voris, with their code of honor, are being replaced by a new generation of Red Mafia, those who disregard rules and only care about money. A silent but brutal purge between tradition and modernity is underway. When you sit on Pakhan's throne, the only thing you see is not wealth, but the guns of your most trusted henchmen or even your own son waiting at the back door. In this world, you can never retire. There's no retirement for the Russian Mafia. There are only two endings, a life sentence in the harsh Black Dolphin prison, or a 9mm bullet ending it all in a dark alley. You've climbed to the top, you've had it all, but in the end, the only things that go with you to the grave are meaningless tattoos and an empty soul. The Russian Mafia isn't a career choice, it's a death sentence hanging over you. It's a game where, from the very beginning, you know you're going to lose. The Empire of Darkness never accepts the weak. If you want to continue exploring the darkest files and most dramatic plot twists of the Underworld, don't forget to subscribe to the Shadow POV channel. Leave a comment, Vori, if you feel the chill of the Russian winter caressing your neck right now. The truth is always scarier than the movies, and Shadow POV will always be here to expose it for you. Don't go anywhere, because in the next episode, we'll be breaking into Black Dolphin, the world's most brutal prison, considered the Russian Mafia's final resting place. You won't want to miss it. Goodbye, and always keep an eye on your back.